Governor Tim Walz is the talk of the town. Well, all the towns, because he's Kamala Harris's running mate. When I heard this news, like a lot of you, I said, who? I don't know this Walz, so I'm not going to get excited just because everyone else is. I had to figure out who this cat was. And can you blame me? 1 week we're saying, down with old white guys, they don't know what's up. Now everyone's like, Tim Walz isn't like a regular old white guy. He's a cool old white guy. First, I had to find Minnesota on a map. Here it is. After I found it on a map, I realized I was also lacking in knowledge about Minnesota. So before we get into Tim, here are some fun facts about Minnesota according to the internet. Minnesota is home to many mammals. That's something common ground if you're also from a state that houses mammals. You're sitting at a wedding with someone, table 12, and they say they're from Minnesota. Boom. Ask them about the mammals. It's home to the Mall of America, which can hold 32 Boeings if need be. And the way Boeings are built, this may need be. I knew this myself, but Lizzo apparently dated a Minnesota Viking. And Marshall from How I Met Your Mother was from Minnesota. Has a more likable character on TV ever been written? I didn't think so. If you want to leave the state of Minnesota with a duck atop your head, you better think twice, my friend. Because crossing Minnesota's state lines with a duck atop your head is as illegal gets. Don't say I didn't warn you. You know the saying, speak softly and carry a big stick? Well, you wouldn't if it weren't for Teddy Roosevelt saying it at the 1901 Minnesota State Fair. And lastly, the beloved Los Angeles Lakers owe their name to Minnesota. That's right. The Lakers were originally from Minnesota. Then they moved. Minnesota, the land of the lakes. And yes, the butter is from there too. Now that we're well informed on who Minnesota is, let's move over to Tim Walz. He's put the word weird on the map by calling Republicans and conservatives and mostly J.D. Vance weird. Doesn't J.D. Vance seem like you invite the whole class to your birthday party to be polite, but you don't think JDV will come because he never talks to you? But then he's the first to get there, smelling of oatmeal and old gasoline. And he's the last to leave, after spending the entire party trying to pour your mom's pink Himalayan salt all over backyard slugs. Weird. Tim Walz is a gun owner who believes in background checks. He also signed legislation to make weed legal, protect abortion, and give kids free lunch in school. Here's how I feel. All that is well and good. But shouldn't that just be the norm? When is the day going to come when we're not celebrating a politician because they give human beings their basic rights and their basic needs? Of course, yes, it feels really overdue, and those things should be legal and protected anyway. So while I feel like that's amazing that he did those things and signed those things, I also feel like we are so far behind if you really think about that. If we don't see those subjects as a duh, what are we doing? None of those things should ever be in question. Come on, America. And we're really just celebrating the fact that somebody isn't cold-blooded. I get great vibes from this guy. I'm not shitting on him. I'm kind of shitting on us. He was a teacher for 2 decades, and he married a teacher, Gwen, and she ain't no hollaback girl. Those two are beloved in the state of Minnesota. Of the residents that were interviewed right after the announcement that he was going to be Kamala Harris's running mate, all of them had one thing in common. They were all sad that he wasn't going to be their governor anymore. Which, I get the sentiment, but maybe we need him to be in a higher position in these good old United States because things have been a bit nutty. The citizens of Minnesota said he doesn't use politician speak, which I think is good for me, good for other Americans. Why? Because we like it gritty. We're won over by iconic phrases like, you could stay and get your ass beat, or you can stay and get your ass beat. Or, maybe you should have a piece of bread and then you'll calm down. And my personal fave, Who gonna check me, boo? Tim Walz may just be speaking America's native tongue. He is described as down to earth, and he got a lot of heat for not calling the National Guard sooner during the protests after George Floyd's murder. I say, maybe he knows sometimes protests aren't supposed to be peaceful. People have been calling Tim Walz America's dad, which is cute. But until I see him drive by in a Cadillac Coupe de Ville with white wall tires, wearing a Kangol hat and gaiters, smoking a cigarette while blasting the OJs, well, he's no father of mine. But sure, it does seem like America needs a father figure at this time. So, you know what? Go off, Tim.
Duh.
Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello! Did you have a good week? I sure hope so. My week was chill as a pill. Although, I did wake up a couple mornings ago, and the roof of my mouth was all cut up and burnt. And no, I wasn't sucking on hot devil wang the night before. Get your head out of the gutter. I was having a bit of a wild night myself. I went to a second location. And then after that second location, I ended up at a pizza place. I know what you're thinking. Rocky, are you Miss New York herself? Hold your applause. After some heavy thinking, it all came pouring back to me in the morning. I was eating the pizza as if I had never been fed before. My mind knew it was too hot to eat, but my mouth had other plans. I feel like I want to give some advice on how to not end up like me in this situation. What I can offer you is you leave your pizza near me at 3 a.m. while it's too hot to eat, and I'll eat it for both of us. That way your mouth stays good as new. This week I'm doing a crossover episode with the girlinas from the Underrated podcast. That's right, Kaylee and Tina each share a wild night story with me, and then we have a bit of a gab fest, so stay tuned for that. If you'd like to submit your own wild night story to be retold on Wild Night, you can email me at wildnightswithrocky@gmail.com. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Wild Nights with Rocky, on Twitter at Wild Nights Pod. If you want to watch the show with your beautiful eyes, please subscribe on YouTube. If you're missing Rocky's highest thoughts because you've been addicted to it for 3.5 years, week after week, fear not. You can subscribe to my Patreon and pay $5 a month, where you'll get weekly highest thoughts from yours truly. A big thank you and a future thank you to everyone who's written and everyone who will write a review on Apple Podcasts when this episode is over. It really does make a difference. And now, please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Kaylee and Tina.